Hello, and welcome to Hidden Heroes Veteran Caregiver Week of Education. This is day 5, and we are joined by Jennifer Prell, president of Elderwerks and the founder, and Mike Iwanicki from the Veterans Assistance Commission of McHenry County. We're going to go through. We covered so much this week, so let's recap, if you will, and then we are open for questions. So please put those in the chat as we go. We will get them answered. So we started this week with Justin, and Justin spoke about caregiver supports. And Mike, I'm just wondering, to get us started really quick, could you sort of summarize the different divisions of the VA for us and how they work? Because I know we have the medical piece, we have the caregiver piece, we have a fiduciary piece.
Okay, you're talking about several different pieces that are disjuncted.
They are, but we covered them all this week. So touch on a bullet point, if you wouldn't mind.
Okay, I'll try to make it quick and easy too. There's actually 3 different VAs, very distinct VAs, under the flag of, it's called the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. There's the hospital administration, healthcare, and that's the part that includes caregiver support, the comprehensive caregiver support, and the community caregiver support and community care. There is the benefits administration. The benefits administration are the disability claims, pension for wartime veterans who are very low income. And that's also where the fiduciary hub is. And then, of course, you got the cemetery administration, which I'm not encouraging any of my clients to run to very quickly. So that's basically the 3 different ones. And because these have each distinct missions, they don't necessarily communicate very well with each other. When you get to the benefits administration, a veteran could be at the health administration for decades, getting treatment for something that's probably related to service-connected injury, but the benefits administration will never know about it unless the veteran tells them, hey, if you go over to the health administration, you'll see I have these injuries that are related to my military service. And unfortunately, that's just the way it is, the way it's set up. And both of those, and the health administration is more likely to be the one to initiate a conversation with the cemetery administration, but really nobody really wants to talk with the cemetery administration. So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
It does. I would also like you to explain the VAC a little bit. And what you and your team in McHenry County do.
Well, it's interesting that you asked that question because recently the governor signed into law Public Act 102-732, which isn't representing a new law. It's a clarification of existing law. And it talks about the responsibilities of the county boards to the Veterans Assistance Commission, and what responsibilities the Veterans Assistance Commission has under the Illinois Public Aid Code. Very quickly, the Veterans Assistance Commission, the foundation of it, actually goes back to the 1870s. This in response to then deceased President Lincoln's call to care for them who borne the battle, his widows and the orphans. And in Illinois, they came up with the Soldiers and Sailors Relief Act, which over time evolved into the Military Veterans Assistance Act. And all of those laws have been in effect for almost 100 years, over 100 years. So the ones particular to the VAC are over 70 years old. So they've been on the books a long time. And what VACs are, to sum it up quickly, is it is a conglomeration of every veteran service organization in the county. The American Legions, the VFWs, the DAVs, the AMVETs. And I know if I miss one, they're going to be mad at me. Polish Legion, Marine Corps League. But all of them get together and form a committee and petition the county board to start a central benefits office. And under Illinois law, that central benefits office is the Veterans Assistance Commission. So we're not really a county office. We are the central benefits office for the veteran service organizations in our particular county. I don't answer to the county board. I answer to the governor of the state of Illinois, and I answer to the veteran service organizations in McHenry County.
Okay.
So
I have a question.
Sure.
My question is, why doesn't every single state in the United States have a Veterans Assistance Commission? Because it makes sense that we need one coordinating group to help all of our veterans. Why is it?
You got me. I can go back about 10 years ago. I actually had another state representative, a representative from another state, who learned about us from a constituent who moved into that state and was complaining about what you're saying right there, which is, why don't you have something like a VAC? They are so very helpful. They work with you. You have nobody. And
Right.
This one actually called us and said, how do you do this? And we spent a lot of time talking. To date, I don't know if they have it. As far as I know, I believe there are 9 states that have VACs. And I believe New Jersey, Texas, us, there's several others. The funding is different from state to state on how those offices work. In Wisconsin, they have county veteran service officers that hold accreditation similar to ours. They're actually funded by the state, and they're mandated by the state to have one in every county. In places like South Carolina, it's kind of hit or miss. And
It's a miss.
And in some other states, like I hate to pick on Michigan, but in Michigan, they do have county veteran service officers. But again, it gets back to something I say when you're dealing with VA regional offices, your mileage may vary. And that is something that we discussed yesterday when I was talking, when myself and Tammy were talking, is shop for your veteran service officer. They have varying experiences, and they're ultimately they have varying experiences, and their motivation may be different from office to office.
That's true. So how do you get a VSO to help you with the healthcare system so for instance, we all know that every state's different. Not every state has great care for our veterans. They don't have the correct transportation. They don't have the correct support in local healthcare facilities. How do we get the VSO to help these veterans get the care that they've earned?
I guess it depends how they're funded. If it's a county office, it gets on how they're funded. If it's a county office, say, I think
ABC
Ohio,
County, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think Ohio is that way. If it's a county office, you'd probably petition to the county board, hey, why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you helping with funding to get transportation from this location to the next location? If it's a state-funded office, then you'd go state. When I retire, I'm going to a refrigerated location, and I already checked out that particular county does in fact have transportation to the nearest VA outpatient clinic. So if I want to use that clinic, I can get on their list to get transportation there.
Right.
I think the best thing to do is if you're already living there, petition the county board, see what they can do. If it's a state office, petition your legislators and see what they can do. if you're moving there, see what's there and start to process of making a change if you really want to be there. Because there's a lot of great locations in the United States that really just don't have a lot for the veterans like Illinois does.
Yeah, Illinois is a great state for our vets. That's truth. Yes.
Yeah, we're at the top.
It is. A recent article showed that Illinois is one of the top 4 states in the nation for veterans support and care, which it's nice to be leading that for our nation, for our veterans that so much deserve that.
Mm-hmm.
Earlier in the week, Jen, we were lucky enough to have Peck Ritchie on for our legal support. Can you speak to doing a legal checkup and why everyone should have certain documents in place?
Sure. So Kerry Peck is the founding partner of Peck Ritchie, and he's the one that was speaking on this topic. The main point that Kerry made was plan. If you do not plan for your future, you're going to make chaos for yourself and or your family. So the minimum, the bare minimum would be get power of attorney for healthcare and power of attorney for property in place. And those are supposed to be put in place at the age of 18. So if you don't have power of attorney in place, do it. It's not expensive. For the healthcare power of attorney, you don't even need a witness. You can pull it off the internet and at least get that done. I don't recommend that. I always recommend going through an elder law attorney because everybody's lives are different and you may need more. For property, you have to have a witness. A third party can't be family. That is so that if something happens to someone, they can pay your bills. It's only if something happens. Power of attorney is only implemented when someone's disabled for some reason and can't make a decision for themselves for a certain amount of time. It could just be a temporary thing, or it could be permanent depending on capacity. And then it goes from there. The will tells the judge who gets what. That's what a will does. It does not avoid probate. A trust will help you avoid excessive probate costs. You'll still have to go through probate. It's a lot faster, depending on the type of trust. There's all sorts of trusts. I don't talk about trusts because I am not an attorney. It's going to be based on who needs the trust, what they're putting in the trust, who it's for, if it's for yourself, if it's for your adult children who have some disabilities, etc. So planning is my point. I will always push planning. And the VAC, they also push planning because you might be a younger veteran, right? But you don't know what's going to happen in your future. And you've earned everything that you should be receiving. And it's not transferable, is it, Mike?
Nope.
Your benefits.
And I put my money where my mouth is as far as doing that. I mean, when my sister passed away, my dad, who is a veteran, we basically said, Dad, you're coming with us. We want you near us. And one of the first things I did when I learned that he hasn't updated his will, no power of attorneys, is we brought him to an elder law attorney. And we said, Dad, you need to do this. Now, was my dad rich beyond his wildest dreams? Absolutely not. It really doesn't matter how big of an estate you're going to have. It saves a lot of problems in the long run if you have that plan in place. Then you don't have family bickering over this and that and small things. Even if there's almost no estate at all, it's all taken care of ahead of time. And that loved one's wishes are going to be filled.
Absolutely.
So yes,
Absolutely.
and like you said, service-connected disability does not pass on to the surviving spouse. They may be eligible for another benefit, but that disability dies with the veteran.
So plan now for your future.
I think
that's my point.
The theme of our week was planning.
Plan again.
Educate and plan. I think those were our themes this week. Yep. When I believe it was on Wednesday, I think I'm ahead of us in the slides, Jane spoke and she covered many different benefits. One of those that individuals didn't know about was transportation and things that were available for veterans. Mike, you had mentioned that earlier. can you speak to what's available in McHenry County and potentially what may be there for, because we are covering this state and nationwide with this broadcast, how they would find transportation?
That's a very good question, actually. Now, our office provides transportation for residents of McHenry County, and we can get them to their VA appointments that way. And we also do stuff where we can get them to VA contract appointments on a case-by-case basis. But that's not the only one. In many locations throughout the United States, the VA Medical Center has a transportation hub, and it's usually run by the Disabled American Veterans. DAV has a huge nationwide program to transport veterans to their medical appointments at a VA facility. There's a couple rules to that. The veteran has to be able to get in and out of the van on their own, and they have to actually be relatively in their service area. And there are some areas that the AMVETS simply cannot reach. But that is definitely a possibility. Certain veterans who have transportation issues may be able to get transportation arranged by the VA Medical Center themselves. And usually that's not bad. They usually have some kind of a contract with Lyft, Dial-A-Ride, a cab company or something like that. And sometimes that's the only choice that veteran has as far as getting to their appointments. And hopefully they're in an area where transportation options are there to help get them to their appointment. Again, your mileage may vary. The other one would be community care. All VA medical centers, if a veteran is so limited that they can't get to a VA medical facility because of distance or disability, the VA Medical Center may authorize community care and arrange to have the veteran see specific doctors that are within the network of that VA Medical Center. And so those are the transportation options that you could be looking at. Obviously, the closest one would be, okay, the VA can't get you to the VA, but can you find a way to get to this local doctor who we contracted with?
Okay. That's good to know. I know that earlier in the week we had the question of, are my veterans, will I still be able to get different veterans benefits if I don't seek medical care through the Veterans Administration healthcare program? And the answer, I believe, Mike, go ahead and clarify that. Let me not misspeak.
Okay, the answer is sort of. You're still connected with the VA Medical Center. They are just sending you to a doctor that's contracted with the VA to accept payment from the VA. So okay. It's not private care. It's still care through the VA, only it's community care. It's a doctor contracted with the VA. Okay. So you still have to get authorization from the VA primary care doctor to receive this type of care.
All right. One of the other questions, and I know that very simply someone can call the VAC and set up a time to come in and sit down and talk with you and go over potential benefits that could be there for that veteran and that family and planning for the future. The question I think came up on at least one of our chats earlier this week is, there's a list of paperwork and I'm not sure I know where everything is. So anybody listening today may want to be able to get that paperwork going. Can you speak to the things that you would like to see or someone would like to see to be able to explore some of that?
If I'm thinking, if I get in your question right, you're talking about the volume of paperwork associated with anything to do with the federal government.
Well, there's a lot of paperwork, but I believe there's also a checklist of paperwork that when you're going to sit down.
Okay, you're talking about our specific checklist. Those are the things that our office would like to see, and it's kind of a catch-all. What we're trying to do is identify the veteran, who is in that veteran's family, where their income, because some, depending on the benefit that they're seeking from our office, it could be financial assistance directly from us. It could be financial assistance from the VA. So these are things we want to know about. The other things are under the state of Illinois public aid laws, we actually have to verify that they're citizens of the United States. And you may not think we have to do that with a military veteran, but the United States does allow individuals who we consider allies to join the United States Armed Forces. And in many cases, those persons, after serving honorably, can apply for U.S. citizenship and they get priority for it. And we have had individuals in McHenry County who fall under that category. And I think of one in particular who actually forgot to do the paperwork to become a U.S. citizen and didn't realize it until he applied for Social Security. And he's not allowed to get Social Security because he's not a U.S. citizen. But he does get his military retirement pay. So a lot of these things are basically compliance in the law type issues. And like our bus program, we have a separate application for that. And that's simply an insurance issue. So we always know who's on the vehicle and we can identify that individual should anything happen. But that's our checklist. And that's kind of a catch-all. When you talk about what the VA needs, a lot of people, they go online, they say, oh, you got to fill out this application. They fill out the application, send it to the VA, and the VA says, thanks for the application, and then sends them this 8.5 by 12 envelope filled with other forms that need to go along with the application. So all of this that we're doing is anticipation of, especially if you're filing a claim with the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, all of this is anticipation of what the VA is going to be looking for, because we're going to help that veteran get all that paperwork in right up front. And so when we're asking for birth certificates, marriage licenses, divorce decrees, all this other stuff, chances are it's because that's what the VA is going to ask for. Is that what you're looking at? It
does. Jen, I think you had a question there.
Yeah, I was just going to say that if you are a veteran or a surviving spouse or an adult child trying to help their parents, which we all are, the best solution would be to find your local VAC, honestly, because I can tell you right now, we've used the VAC in my family for years and years and years. And Mike and his team are ridiculously good. And that's across the state of Illinois. Illinois is blessed. We have many, many VACs, depending on where you are in this state. They're all over. I just, as everyone knows, transitioned to South Carolina, which Mike knows, with my parents, and it's not been fun. When a veteran doesn't feel safe and taken care of, things happen. So I am going to petition for a VAC down here. That's my next steps after my other things I'm working on, probably in the next 2 weeks. I've got chaos here.
So we did just get a question regarding the checklist that I referenced for the VAC. I believe that checklist is on the VAC for McHenry County's website, correct, Mike? Or do they have to set up an appointment to get that checklist?
What I usually recommend is just calling. I think it's on our website, and I'm terrible. I should know it, but
I pulled it from there this morning.
Okay, we had a little bit of an access problem, and I haven't been able to access our website. for a few months now. And unfortunately, that's one of those things that we finally got access again, and I'm trying to get everything updated. But honestly, I forgot what was on there.
But we can put this on our website, Deana. So we'll put it under the articles and guides section under the VA.
Yeah, this will get it. We'll get it added. And the first thing on there, Mike, is the copy of the military discharge, or the DD 214. And I know that question came up a lot because you might have a grandchild that's trying to help grandma because grandpa served, and they don't know where anything is because they've moved 6 times. Can you speak to how they find that?
Oh my gosh.
We do have a link on our website, Mike, to get the DD-214s, just so you're all aware.
Oh, great. It probably has my phone number on it, right? Yes.
Who knows?
Okay. Anyway, as far as getting a DD-214, there was actually 3 different kinds of documents that the military used. One of them was a discharge document, a certificate of service, which came out after, in 1975, there was a fire where the Army and the Air Force stored its records, and it affected discharges prior to 1960. So from what they were able to piece together from other documents, they had this document that was available to people who lost their discharge and needed it, that were affected by after 1975. Coincidentally, Navy and Marine Corps records prior to 1960 are still intact and still held by the United States Navy, because prior to 1975, the Navy, Department of the Navy said, this is too expensive to store our stuff here, we're moving it. And then a fire broke out. So the Navy's records were preserved. And I get people all the time who say, I got discharged in 1973, my record's destroyed. And I'm like, no, it wasn't. It was 1960 that they were destroyed. But the fire was in 1975. That said, at some point, I want to say it was probably in the late 40s, early 50s, the military was big on telling people to take this document and record it at your recorder's office in your particular county of your hometown. So the first place I would look, if I was the grandchild or child of a veteran, you can't find the discharge, is where did that veteran live when he joined the military? And chances are that's where he moved back to when he got out, and he may have recorded that discharge in that recorder's office. And I've had people tell me over and no way, it's not there. He wouldn't have done that. Well, you get people in the military, if their last order was to file this with your recorder, chances are that's there. I just had a client who called, you referred him to us. And they said, well, we don't know where this discharge is. I told them just that, and guess what? That's where it was. So now they have it. Now, the reason I'm pushing that as a first choice now is because the second choice may be the state you come from. And the State Department of Military and Veterans Affairs may have a copy, but it may take them a while to get it to you. And then currently right now, the last choice that I look at is the Federal Archives Administration, National Archives and Records Administration. And the reason is they've been closed for 2 years. They prioritized who's getting records, and the VA was at the top of that priority. Unfortunately, when they were at no more than 25% manning for 2 years, it didn't slow down the requests for these documents. And they are so far behind. It is taking forever to get a response from them. Sometimes you get lucky and it's quick. Sometimes, like I'm looking for records for one particular veteran, all I can do is, I'm sorry, we have to be patient. It's going to take a long time. And sometimes there are ways that we can find the record a little bit faster. I don't advertise those ways because they are so hit and miss. It's not worth saying, oh yeah, call us, we'll be able to do this and get it right away. It's like 1 in 1,000. We get lucky and are able to hit it. But those are the basic ways of trying to get a discharge. And if you're in McHenry County and you have a veteran service office in the county where you're at, sometimes they have a copy. But again, that's kind of a hit or miss.
Okay. Jennifer, I'm going to ask you a question. We had Jen Anderson from Advocate Good Shepherd on, who had spoke and talked about movement and engagement. Can you speak to keeping the caregivers and the veterans engaged physically and socially? The time of our pandemic has been difficult. And just maybe different ways they can remain engaged.
Well, oh God, there's so many ways. We've all had to pivot because of COVID. We've all had to do things differently. So for instance, Elderwerks came up with Stepping Out for Fitness. And Stepping Out for Fitness is a challenge where anybody can participate. You can do any fitness exercise to your ability. So if you are fit and you want to walk 5 miles, walk. If you are wheelchair bound and you can't walk, but you can lift cans of corn, lift those cans of corn, right? And then for the veterans, veterans are a different breed. They like to stick together. They believe that each person understands them better than us common folk, and they want to hang together. There are many, many groups, aren't there, Mike, that hang together?
Mm-hmm.
And I know they're mostly social. They go to lunch, they have meetings, but they can talk to each other. I think maybe some of those VA groups need to join Stepping Out for Fitness and do it together and challenge each other to stay fit, because unfortunately, as we age, so does our body, and we cannot.
Hey, hi, Jane.
Hi, Jane.
Hi, Jane.
We cannot keep off the weight, and if you're sitting idle all the time and eating and not moving, that food is not turning to energy; it's turning to fat. So. It would behoove everybody to move and to be social. And socialization, as you know, Deana, is one of the most important aspects of aging. If you are not social and you become isolated, but you were previously social, you will have issues, you will have complications, you will get sick more readily, and unfortunately pass away faster than your neighbors. And we don't want that. We love our neighbors. So being social, engaging your neighbors. If you know someone's by themselves, stop over, ring the bell, talk through the door. If they're afraid to come out, talk through the door. If you have a pet, walk your pet. That's what my mom does. She doesn't walk far, but she walks her dog, and things like that. So those are my suggestions. And then of course, Advocate Fitness Center with Jen. Jen is fabulous. You need more fitness ideas. She's your go-to person. I am not physically fit. I'm not going to lie. I only walk. Who's got time to do anything else, unfortunately? So do what you can do, 20 minutes a day, physically. Mentally, get stimulated by conversations, getting online and chatting with friends and family, or join a military chat group. I'm sure there's some online. Mike can talk to that. I'm not a veteran, so I don't have those chat groups, but I am social, so I get out and about, and that's important.
Mike, do you want to speak to some of those social engagements or reach outs that veterans can reach out to?
Actually, I actually wanted to comment on the physical fitness end of it, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Because part of my job is working with individuals who have varying degrees of disability, and sometimes talking with their caregiver and stuff. And especially if you're a caregiver, it's so easy to let yourself go because you're so focused on the other individual. Mm-hmm. And I've seen it over the years, the difference between people who actually try to move despite the pain, and they end up doing a lot better and have a lot better range of motion than those who don't move because of the pain. it hurts too much. I really can't move it. Yet if they can just do a little bit, it would relieve a lot of it. Speaking from experience, I have problems with my knees. I still walk, I still garden, I still do all those things. Do I ignore the pain? No, I know when I'm pushing it too hard. But if I didn't do those things, those joints are only going to stiffen up, get worse, and the pain is going to be greater, and my mobility and flexibility are going to be significantly less.
Which to your point then, Mike, will possibly affect you both mentally and socially, right? And keeping those things all going is how you keep a happy person, right?
Yeah, and it's kind of like it's not the quantity of your life, it's the quality of your life. Do you want, you can live to 120 years old, but if you spend 30 of it in a nursing home, is that what you consider quality? Or you can live upper 80s, early 90s, and still drive to the grocery store, go to the VFW and meet the guys, that kind of thing. I mean, is that the future you want? And if it is, you're going to have to move, because they've proven, even if you do exercise in your older age and flexibility and strengthening exercises, it has an impact and it works. And I realize some people have a tough time with it because of pain and injury and stuff like that. And I feel your pain. I get it.
But there's also depression, Mike, right? Depression kind of makes you not want to do anything. And you want to get out of the depression. The best way is to get moving. That's right.
Now, as far as social, yes, there's a lot of groups online that you can communicate with. Some of the groups I'm in are all related to what I do for a living. So they're all, hey, I had a vet and this is what we did to get that veteran benefits. What do you think? I'm like, oh, wow, great idea. I'm going to steal that. And we do that with each other. So we all become better because we all share each other's successes. And that's the goal of these groups. And that would be the same with some of the coffee clutches that I see over at McDonald's of veterans getting together over, did I plug somebody? I shouldn't. Going to the fast food joint that has coffee, and they sit in the morning, they all get together and talk about their day and what's going to happen and enjoy a cup of coffee. They just get out there. And of course, Zoom has been a big thing over COVID. That's helped a lot, but not everybody is tech savvy. And as I've talked with Jennifer before, some of the people that were hurt the most were in assisted living, supportive living, and nursing facilities where they were literally isolated most of the day, every day for almost 2 years.
And that depends on the community, Mike. And I'm going to interrupt you because yes, there are some communities where they saw no one, but the good communities had activities. People go out every day. They were touched. Those folks that were isolated, breakfast, lunch, and dinner were delivered. They had a conversation. There was games delivered. There were social aspects. They had interactive TVs. They had a lot going on. And then there were some that had none. And the ones that had none, that's where it takes a village, right? That's where it takes people that can be creative to touch those lives. For instance, our Make a Senior Smile program, we collect cards and poems and art, and we send that out to isolated seniors all over Illinois, low-income buildings that don't have activities departments where they can't get out. We have to be able to, again, as I said before, pivot, help your neighbor. Elderworks is only one organization. There's thousands just like Elderworks across the nation trying to help where they can. And if you have an idea of how to keep someone who's isolated more social or engaged, everybody's willing to listen and try it. Trust me, because we want everyone to thrive. I think we have a question, Deana.
Yep. So I'm going to put this out to both of you. To help with isolation, is there a peer program for vets in McHenry County, Vets to Vets? And when you answer that, how do we get them in contact?
Good question. I don't know. So But I'll tell you what, again, I pointed out to this law, we're having, and I'm going to plug this if you don't mind. On the 22nd of June, we're having a stakeholders meeting, and it's to discuss some of these things. What is missing in McHenry County that the veterans community needs. And, I think, Jennifer, you got an invitation, so you'll have to fly back and, or
I'm
send
sending Deana.
I'll be there, Mike.
But that's a good question. We've actually already been getting some feedback, and I'm marking that one down. There are peer programs in the county that I recall. I just don't know how active they are right now. And I knew that Veterans Path to Hope in Crystal Lake has a peer program for younger veterans and Vietnam era veterans. I don't know how active they are anymore because of COVID. I've lost track of that, but they were very, very good about that prior to COVID. And I remember there was a group that actually met here prior to COVID. So should there be one? Yeah. Do I know how active it is right now? Unfortunately, I do not, but that is a brilliant idea. And I'm marking that down to be presented to the commission on the meeting on the 22nd.
Sorry, Deana. I'm just going to say one thing.
Go ahead.
Real quick. Well, two things. One, you might want to think about a veterans helping veterans program, because veterans really don't like the common man to talk about their concerns and issues. They don't want to talk to me. They just don't. Vets helping vets is a good idea. Also, some of your over 55 active lifestyle communities do have veterans groups within them. And we can copy those outside of those over 55s to make it a more supportive county.
I believe too, Jen, that several of our veteran supports, whether it's the American Legion, VFW, they seem to create their own little subgroups themselves. So it isn't a formal structure. I do know that several of this senior centers within the county of McHenry County do have a little subset where some of the veterans do get together. But as far as I know, there isn't like a county-wide vet to vet.
I think it's a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
There you go, Mike.
I wrote it down.
Lynn, thank you for that question. That's a really good one.
And if I may add to there are some posts, and again, this is prior to COVID, who used to monthly go out to some of the nursing homes and meet with those little veterans groups and discuss issues and stuff like that. I remember I was invited to one because they wanted to talk about veterans benefits, but they talk about everything under the sun. So veterans benefits was just one of them. Some of them are just rehashing their military service, which, if you want me to get into that, we need another few hours. But and half the language I'll use, you won't understand. The other one, you'll be offended. So,
the acronyms, all the acronyms.
So, but the posts themselves do stuff as well. But yeah, that's a good idea to have something that would be centered from the VAC that the VAC can take a lead on, or get organized, or get people trained to go into facilities and do this.
Yes.
So I have sort of two more question areas to cover with us yet today, if you guys are willing to hang with me for a couple more minutes. Mike, I'm going to direct this one to you. It came up several times during conversations this week that we had about, I've already talked to this person and my loved one doesn't qualify for benefits, or they've been denied for benefits. And I know we've talked about you've got to connect with the right person at the right time to get some of these done. You and Tammy were very clear in a presentation earlier this week about if it doesn't feel right, move on. and get those things answered, because our veterans they served our country. We have our freedom because of our veterans. We need to make sure they get their benefits. Can you speak to what your advice would be to if somebody either says they don't qualify, or they were denied, or they were dropped from benefits? I know that's a large section of question, but I know you're really good at bullet pointing when you need to.
I don't know who told you that. People have to tell me to stop talking. Let's see. Okay, good. I didn't bring the book with me. And I've shown this before in other presentations. The guide that most BACs go by is 2 books. Yeah, you've got about the right size. 8.5 by 11 by about 3 inches thick. That's just the laws. And then there's a book that explains it in veteran service officer language that's larger than that. And they give a new edition every year. So I've seen it before coming to our office where probably they came from another state or something else. And yeah, we were told that we're not eligible for this. And you know, we just want to see if the VA's changed anything. And you go back and you look, well, no, they didn't change anything, but why do you think you're not eligible? It could be you don't know what that person told the previous service officer, and you don't know what the qualifications of that previous service officer were. My favorite example was one Jane had a number of years back. Her husband had died years earlier of ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, which is a presumptive under the VA. If someone served 90 consecutive days or more and passed away of ALS, that ALS was service connected. If that veteran was alive, it would have been service connected, but that widow was owed benefits. And she didn't live anywhere near us. And I'm not going to say where she lived, but she was nowhere near us. So I got on the internet and we found someone to send her to locally. And frankly, if I do that, I usually ask them right away, you call this person and call me back and let me know what you think. If you had a problem with what they said, call me back and let you know what we think. This person called the individual. The individual said, well, you know, I'm getting ready to go on vacation. I'll have to call you when I get back, and never called them back. That person ended up calling us about 2 months later and saying to Jane, oh, that individual went on vacation, and when they came back, they were moved to a different office. So what did we do? We called that same office and said, could you please reach out to this person? And they were very good. They reached out to that person and told them there was no such thing as service connection for ALS and that they don't have a claim.
Oh my.
6 months later, this elderly individual calls us back and just wanted to talk to us. And Jane had the phone and she contacted, and this shows you how far back it goes because we changed our policy on this because of this incident. And the individual called and said, oh dear, thank you so much for all your help. But apparently there's no such thing as service connection for ALS. And Jane came into my office and said, this is what this person said. I'm like, what? This has been in effect since 2008. And we printed out the regulation, faxed it to that person's office, and I gave the instruction, it's going to take some time because we're going to have to do it all by mail, but we are taking this claim. And we took the claim. And what we originally tried to do for convenience ended up taking forever. So to the Tammy's point on that day, if you're told no, call somewhere else and verify it. Make sure no is really no. If someone comes to my office, I'm going to use all my knowledge, ability, and the law and I'm going to evaluate this claim. And I usually tell them what we need to win the claim. If what they're asking for is not something that the law supports them getting, I'm going to tell them that, and I'm going to show them that. See, like pension, you had to serve during a period of conflict to be eligible for pension. I'm sorry, here's when the veteran served, and here are the dates in the law that said these people are eligible for pension. I'm sorry, they're not eligible for that. Why don't we look and see if there's something else we can do? And that's a key difference. A really good office is going to be able to show you.
So Deana's in an office that if you don't move enough, the lights go off. It's quite amusing.
I apologize, guys. You got to see me fly like a butterfly.
Well, that's why I'm moving, because my office does the same thing. That's why I keep going back every once in a while.
That's hilarious. Sorry.
I'm sorry about that, guys.
That's good.
Mike, the other thing, we had a question, and you guys answered this very succinctly, that somebody said, well, I don't have money to pay somebody to help me with veterans benefits. Can you speak to having to pay for anything from the VAC? Jen's shaking her head. I know the answer, but I want you to say it, because
Jen's shaking her head because she knows my fees are way too low.
It's true. It is true.
I'm accredited with the National Association of County Veteran Service Officers, the American Legion, and the Veterans of Foreign Wars. Accredited veteran service officers do not charge for their services. We do not. Attorneys will file for it, and there are some groups out there that will also charge for it. If someone is saying, this is how much we're going to charge to do this, unfortunately, the way the law is written, they can get away with it, because all they're doing is reviewing your work that is going to be sent to the VA. And in some cases, one that the VA finally, the general counsel in the VA, the counsel's office, investigator's office, got on this group. There was a group that was doing veterans pension claims, and they weren't charging the veteran to do the claim. What they were doing is they were putting themselves down as one of the medical providers, because they were coordinating care. So let's say the pension amount that the veteran was getting every month was $1,000. This group was taking $500 of that and then paying somebody else $500 to provide care. So the veteran never saw it and didn't have a choice of who his provider was going to be. And the VA finally came down on that.
Good.
But if they're asking you for money, or if they're offering to do it and taking the money, there's an issue, and that should put up a lot of red flags. There was also one for a while where there was groups that hired attorneys, and these groups were going around and saying, chances are this benefit is so unknown that your local veteran service officer doesn't know about it.
Oh my.
And one of the things I thought was funny was I would go in there, and when I would be reported, these things would be reported to me. I'd go on their website, and it was nowhere on their website, because that's an unlawful statement, because an accredited veteran service officer is accredited by the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs because of their knowledge of VA benefits.
Did you guys send a cease and desist letter, or whoever was having this
Well,
issue?
actually, I found one that did that and had it on there, and I called their attorney and I said, you understand what you're doing is a lie, and I'm going to promote this I'm going to send this over to the VA, take it down immediately. And they took it down, but I understood from their presentations that they still continued to say that, but they had nothing in writing that said that.
You should have, yeah, never mind. We don't have to get into
And
that
I could honestly
negativity.
say there was one group that asked me to come out and do a presentation, and they said, and this is great, we'll have you who knows all this stuff, and we've got this group that knows VA pension really well. And I said, hold on, if they're there, I'm not. You got a choice, me or them. And
Exactly.
it was because that group, the VA calls them pension poachers.
Mm-hmm.
And that group was one of those pension poachers. And
That's very annoying.
yes, it is. And they do charge money. And I have fixed their damage before too. So you got to be careful with those groups. If they're charging you money, or somebody said, oh, you need to talk to this guy, I paid this much and they got me my benefits, that should be sending up red flags immediately.
Well, as everyone should know by now, Elderworks only refers to qualified service companies, and the VAC is our only one we refer to for the benefits. We do not refer benefits to anyone else. The service organizations we refer to is for their expertise, such as legal assistance or real estate, or they're a plumber. See what I'm saying? You go to the expert in their field. The expert would be a veterans organization. The VAC is separate from the VA. So you're neutral, and you want to make sure our veterans get every benefit they've earned. And I 100% support the VAC across the nation. I love the VACs. They're my favorite group.
And I'm not neutral either. I'm here for the veteran.
100%.
So.
Yep.
So Jen, you just touched on the last question I had for you during our stay. Should I stay or should I go? One of the last slides we had was different resources that Elderworks has. And you just said, we do have resources. Could you speak to the directory? Could you speak to different
what we do?
Yeah. Could you do that? And then I don't know. We also would like you to we're going to put up a couple of slides that after Jen's done that have some resources, and then I'll have you just go through those with us.
Excellent. Well, Elderworks, the reason we're here is information, referrals, and resources. That's what we are. We're a free service to anyone who calls us. Doesn't matter your age. We help seniors. So if you know someone who needs help, send them to Elderworks. It can just be information on I need help on Medicare or Medicaid, or I have a concern with my neighbor. They're not answering their door anymore. They can't eat. I'm doing all their maintenance. What do I do here? Or it could be caregiver issues, or it could be I need some legal advice. We are not attorneys. We'll give you some advice and then say, go see these attorneys. Our job is to make sure you're talking to the right people. When we refer anyone out, we vet the people we're referring out and the companies. It's always about the people, because if the people change, you don't know who you're working with anymore. So when we do refer, we try to make sure that the person you're talking to is very knowledgeable in their expertise. They're honest, they have integrity, they work hard for you. So when we do refer, that is very important to us. Our directory is very large. It's 340 some odd pages of everything in the state of Illinois, local federal programs to assist you to stay home well or transition into any type of senior living. It's got a lot of articles and guides and things to help. The reason we put it together is because people like to help themselves. They don't know what they need, so they don't even know what to ask for. This book will help you figure out what you need and what to ask for. But the advertisers in the directory help us pay for the directory. It costs over $100,000 to print this directory. And we do not take ads from people we don't trust. So you can pick any of the ads in there, and they are supporters of humans. And that's important to Elderworks. And the VAC is a huge supporter of Elderworks, and we obviously support the VAC tremendously. And the reason is because they're really, really good at their job, and their job is to help vets. So,
and I can honestly say I've used resources from Elderworks personally for family members, referred them to family members, and I've never regretted it.
Thank you. Thank you. And honestly, if we can't help, we're just going to give you a phone number. That's still helping. You'll have a phone number for the expert that will help you. And Deana is going to put up a list of resources that you can all contact for assistance. And we do want to mention after this, we're also going to show information on our Senior Expo. It's the Aging Better Expo, August 31st. And it's a Honda resource boost for the Northwest suburbs. And what you'll get is people helping you learn. We're going to have classes. We're going to have free breakfast and coffee, free lunch, free education, and resources are there to ask questions live. And the resource boosts are important aspect to your socialization as well. You get to meet some real nice folks. So let's go back to the resource page. So these are the resources that spoke this week on veterans benefits, caregiver topics, and our fitness folks, Jen Anderson at Advocate. Please put down these phone numbers. You can reach out to any one of them. I learned a ton, especially the fiduciary. I didn't even know about the fiduciary. I've been doing this, I've been helping families since 2007, and I did not even know. That's why I have Mike. I just send him to Mike.
Yeah, VA fiduciary, they've got some interesting stories. So.
Yeah, they do. Is there any other question that you've seen come up, Deana?
I don't have any additional questions. I think we have one more slide that has, there we go, our websites and our emails. For VAC's email is right on there. That won't go directly to Mike. It goes to his entire team for McHenry County. We do have the VA website as well as Elderwerks and how to access any of the programs from this week. I thank you, Jennifer. I thank you, Mike. You guys have been doing this for a while for VAC Week. Really, our veterans and their caregivers and all seniors, really. Let's face it, we're trying to help everybody. So I thank you all for being here today. Any final words from either one of you?
Ladies first.
You want me to go first? Well, again, Elderwerks is in your pocket, and as is the VAC. If you need help on any aging issue or aging question or aging need, just call us. We will give you the answers that we know. We've got 54,000 contacts in our database, and that's not from sitting idle. We want to know everybody who's out there so we know who to refer to you. So please reach out anytime. We are a complimentary service. We do not charge seniors or their families for any of our support. So please reach out. Mike?
Yeah, if you have veterans benefits related question, whether you're the veteran or you're the veteran's spouse, don't hesitate to pick up the phone and give us a call. You don't have to be from McHenry County for us to get you the information, get you some help as far as filing a claim or whatever. Don't feel like there's no place you can go, because we're here, we can help. And we don't really care where you live. We just care about seeing that you get the right answers regarding your VA related questions.
Oh, one more thing before we go. Elderwerks never closed due to COVID, and neither did the VAC. They weren't open at the government center, but they were answering their phone calls. And that's important for everyone to know. We don't sleep. We are here. Well, we do sleep, but we are here to help folks, and we will not close. The center will remain open, and the VAC, if they're not on site, they are always available by phone.
That's right.
All right, everyone. I'm going to say it. You got to plan. You got to ask questions, because the only bad question out there is the question you don't ask, because there's always an answer. And there are people out there to help, whether it's the VAC or Elderwerks. So live well, ask questions, and plan for a better future.
Thank you.
Thank you.